Ayo, what's going on, you guys? We had a brand new episode of Marvel Yap today, episode number 32. We're going to be breaking down the OTA as well as the new card Firehair that is releasing today with some very interesting combos that we have made for the card, as well as breaking them down more thoroughly. And then we're going to talk about character mastery. What are our thoughts on it? Let us know your thoughts on it, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, we're joined with the hostess with the mostest, the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, not my dance. How are we doing today, Dance?
I'm doing absolutely great, Tuck. I'm doing I'm sad to see that your villain arc is still going strong. Unfortunately, I don't know what you've been dealing with in your own pocket meta. That's turned you into such a, I don't know. Is heinous a word I should be using? I feel like heinous is a word I could be using here. Anyway, I'm doing pretty well. It's a fun day, fun times currently happening, at least in Marvel Snap, and just I don't know, kind of in general. I've been, we've been on Invincible recently, dude. I've got the comics. Got a bunch of those comics. I got all the comics, Tuck. And I started reading them last night.
Oh goodness gracious! What happened? Did you get to the point where you were just like sucked in and like you just couldn't escape? You're like, I have to read to the next chapter, and then you're like, well, now I have to read to the next chapter, or like kind of thing.
They're not like I have the compendiums, and the way the compendiums work is like they'll tell you when each issue ends and whatever. But like the story flows so cleanly issue to issue. It's so difficult, Tuck. And I even asked you last night. I texted you like, hey, you think I kind of want to start reading these? Should I wait? Should I hold off? And you said, do you remember what you told me, Tuck?
I said you should wait till you can have a very long time just to sit down and read them.
Yeah, you said, you said if you wait, you'll be able to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Actually, Tuck, here's the thing I need to tell you. I've read all of them last night, Tuck. I read all 147, I believe, comics of Invincible. Tucker, I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning reading Invincible.
Gosh. Which, like, to be fair, I have had nights where, like, I start reading a new manga, and I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be good. And then I read, like, 100 and some odd chapters of it because it's like, in the sense, like, a chapter's like an issue kind of thing. So, like, I get it. When you are hooked, and if you guys didn't know, Dance and I absolutely love Invincible. Like, every time there's a new episode, we immediately talk about it, and, like, we have good points, like not necessarily good points. We have different opinions on a lot of the characters and disagreements. Yeah, but it's like it's like a healthy conversation, and like this isn't this isn't Invincible Yap. This is Marvel Yap. But we talk about that because we're multicultural, whatever. But it's multi-diverse in like a lot of our like superhero talk and everything. But the show is incredible. The comic's incredible, but our topics for today, when we're talking about Marvel Yap, Marvel Snap, is this OTA that just happened. We're also going to be talking about Firehair and some combos you guys maybe have not thought of when it comes to Firehair, as well as character mastery, our thoughts on it, and we want to hear your guys' thoughts on it as well. We do have another interesting split on screen for you guys today. It is a Lady Sif. It is going to be her ADIA fantasy variant with a water finish, red crackle, and it has the blue ice border to match. It looks like the haunted or ghoul hue of her sword here.
No, I will say the this blue ice is I think my favorite of every single border that they've actually released so far in the game. Because yes, I know it's like it kind of feels a little bit narrow in the way you can use it. However, I think you can do stuff like this where it really pops and actually works really well. And also, it isn't just it's not that snowflake stuck. It's not the web. It does the more detail by actually adding more to the border by giving us like those shards at the bottom and the sides and whatever. And it looks so good. I love it so much. And this is an interesting one. Well, this will be a fun one to circle back with whenever we actually discuss the character mastery. And if you keen-eyed viewers currently are looking, I think it's like right here-ish. You can see maybe a pink rays with rainbow confetti. Lady Sif, maybe. I'm just saying. There are comparisons, and they're definitely good and bad. Oh God, I hate.
It popped for you.
We'll talk about that. Got it.
But like we were talking about, we did have an OTA this week, and it happened, and like there definitely were some card fixes, like there definitely were some adjustments.
Yes.
And, you know, it added some flavor to a couple cards for sure. But I do want to say, like, this issue still wasn't necessarily addressed. I do think people have started to play more different stuff post-Infinite. Like, post-Infinite play rate for Hela, which is who we have on screen right now, who went from a 6'9" to a 6'6". Did get adjusted, and some of her key cards got adjusted, which we'll go over here in a second. But I did like that it did pump more people, or it make more people want to try newer things opposed to just playing Hela. But I still don't think it necessarily addressed the Hela issue.
Well, they did a lot of stuff with it, so I'm gonna talk. I'll talk all the changes real quick they did. Obviously, first one you mentioned is Hela. Both Swordmaster and Hellcow also went to 6 power. Hellcow going 4-6, Swordmaster going 3-6, and the other change was the bigger one, I think, in this group was Black Cat going to a 2-6 as well. So Cerebro 6, reigning supreme, obviously. But legitimately, what they did is they took 9 points of power out of the Hela package.
Yes.
And with 9 points of power out, like, that is a substantial amount. A Dex can die with a single power nerf. And they took 9 power out of it. And I think one of the biggest things we saw immediately was the completely the incorrect reaction of, okay, Hela's dead. They've completely killed the card. They've killed the deck. Atrocious. No, Hela as a whole is going to be fine. And I think they did a really good job with this. I don't know if it's enough. We could talk about the untapped stats in a bit. But I think that, like, one of the first things I thought with this is, like, yes, you're right. This is a big change. That Hela's gonna be fine. She's a good deck still. And if anything, honestly, the biggest difference between all these is I think the Black Cat change is just straight up a buff. Because now you can discard 4-cost cards. And you're okay with that. And so, yeah. This is good, but I don't know if it's going to be enough still. And I would have nuked the card. I probably would have just... there are cards in this game that I would nuke and I wouldn't lose any sleep over. And Second Dinner is much smarter than I. And they're trying to make it so decks are still playable. We'll see if Hela is still too good, but I do at least think that Hela's definitely is still completely playable and fine at minimum.
Yeah, and I think the thing when it comes to Hela is, like, I don't hate Hela probably as a lot as most people maybe. And I think while, yes, you can't necessarily always tell where power is going to go, at least, like, with Hela, for the most part, you know what's been discarded since you have the graveyard pile, and that kind of helps you understand, like, is there a way for me to output this? Yes, I lose the situation if the card lands here. So, like, you have those outs opposed to maybe some of these other, like, unknown factors. Like, still with Erisham, it's like, okay, well, they snap me. They haven't played a single card that they have in their entire deck, so I have no idea what's about to happen. So it's my fault for staying in here. Same with Hela. Like, it's my fault for staying in here, and I lose to RNG. And it's like, you're still losing to RNG with Erisham, but, like, with Hela, at least you have a general idea what the RNG is, and, like, you can kind of think of these options a little bit better. But, like, I don't hate Hela. It is still brain dead in this, like, a deck, but, like, still.
I think it's brain dead. I don't know, as much as I don't enjoy Hela the most, and it's probably because it's been such a long time. I feel like, since, again, she was only meta, I think, for like 2 weeks here, so it doesn't feel as bad as in comparison to some of the, the months we've had with Thanos, the months we've had with a lot of these other cards. But I will say, I definitely don't hate her as much. Don't like her either. She's kind of just like, I just feel like she's a game style that I don't want them to encourage.
Yes.
But straight up, though, I think that the nerf, it did matter. I know it mattered at least for a single game for me, and it stuck out because I won a game because of the OTA. Because
oh, really?
They had Hela, they had Swordmaster, and Hellcow in one lane, and I won that lane by 3 points. Just enough because of those few cards. And it was just like, if it was pre-OTA, I would have probably been like, well, it's Hela, what can you do? And then I was like, oh, wait, they've hit the card. Anyway, we took a long time here, but also I will say this was so much of a big thing that I love the fact that they just like the way they approached it is, let's start with Hela. They mention Hela, and then also here's Swordmaster, then here's Hellcow, then here's Black Cat, and then they're just like, here's 5 paragraphs of why we've done so much here.
Yeah.
It was deserved in every way. I mean, there, yeah.
I don't know whose bright idea it was to make Hela 9 power, but I'm sorry that was crazy.
I mean, but Hela can. One thing I think like it's also important though is Hela wasn't good before. Before Scars changed, she wasn't good. And the current, like that version, yes, it was a deck you could play, but it wasn't good. And then with the Scar change, it was too good, which means that, and I think I saw this online, but I can't find the source, so I'm saying it. And if there's a source out there, I can quote it, whatever. But there's obviously a good and a bad that Hela can exist at, and so if there's a good and a bad, that means there's a middle ground, and that's what they're trying to find. And I don't know if they found it here, but I do love the fact that they've found both sides here, so hopefully they can find the correct place in the middle for Hela to exist at. But yeah.
Yeah, and I think this helps have more of a middle ground. I think, yes, the Scar change definitely boosted Hela, but I think it was the nerf to Surtur that really even elevated it even more. Because like Surtur's value went down in that Scar list as well, since it took a lot longer to get him to that 10 power. I think that kind of altered that. But you know, another change that I absolutely loved in this OTA?
I was kind of surprised by this one. I'm not going to lie to you.
Is this change right here? Yeah. Is Doom 2099. It's a 4-3. Okay. I think it was already a 4-3. But the Doom bots went to 4-0, and I became even happier because I think, yes, this is a substantial change, and I'm seeing a lot of less Doom 2099 now, which I'm glad. But it still was another. I mean, maybe I just hate some brain dead decks. Yet I play big dumb idiots sometimes. So like it's really interesting for me to say that. But like that's still not
there's differences, but still.
Yeah. But this I think was a good change, and I think a lot of people were warranting Doom 2099 to get hit again, and I think losing this point of power doesn't make this card unplayable necessarily. It definitely is not as good. Definitely not. But I think it was a warranted change.
So this is actually the one that I understood the least. Like, I'm fine with it. Again, I'm not a fan of Doom 29, so I was fine with this change. However, I also didn't think it was that powerful. And they said apparently that like even that he was still like one of the best decks in the last few weeks, even post the previous nerf to him. So I was kind of surprised by this. Came a little bit out of the blue to me, but still, I don't mind it. It's the logic they went here was just like, this is a 4-cost card that's too easy to put into a package. And again, I don't like this style, I feel like. Because again, the whole point is just like you do one thing each turn, and that's it. But then I'm thinking like, I get that they don't want it to be an easy package, but why is it only requires 2 cards? So like, why does it matter? Or why is that a bad thing? And it's weird that I say that, but it's still like, it's Doom 2099 and Doom. Those are the cards you need. And they said that when he asks so little for you from deck building, they didn't want it to be such a clear answer. But then how do you make this a card that you can still play? And again, I say this as someone who doesn't like this style. It's just like, I don't know. It's a weird place that they want this card to exist at, and it's a card I don't even like. So it's like, okay, I don't like this, and it seems like you don't like it. So what's it doing? What's it doing here? I don't know. It's like when your friend invites that one friend over to your birthday party, and you're like, all right, you don't like him. I don't like him. Why is he here?
I'm telling you, Doom 2099 is not getting invited to any of my birthday parties.
Dude, Doom 2099 is not invited to my birthday parties either. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Doom 2099. I'm not going to lie, but the $5 Chili's gift card isn't cutting it.
Yep. Nope. Definitely not. But I feel like a lot of people still are warranted the change. So, I mean, I'm okay with it. Like you said, it wasn't something that I was like, you know, Doom 2099 is as oppressive as Hela right now since they had tweaked him already in the previous OTA. But I don't hate it. But we did have some actual, like, even, like, more interesting changes. Was that Wolverine went to a 2-3. I was very confused about this, but I said, okay.
Yeah, I feel like, again, there's a lot of changes I think they did this OTA, and it's cool. I feel like a lot of changes there's like, this is, like, why is this the one that we want to give the support to? I don't know. Like, Wolverine, he used to exist as a 2-2 that just regenerated without even the +2. Why is he Why is he a 3 now? And you can't, and you know, you couldn't just maybe give a +1 to Sabretooth when he gets regenerated. I don't know. Maybe do that instead for me. But I don't know. Again, I like the change. It's just like there's just a lot of them that I'm like, okay, I want to know more about this stuff.
And I wonder if like this Wolverine change is another instance of just us being higher in collection level and not being able to see some of maybe the lower lines in this and the underlying of we're not seeing a lot of destroy overall in the meta until tomorrow or today technically with Firehair, but like you're probably not using
don't spoil
Wolverine.
when we record these.
You're probably not, you know, seeing Wolverine in those lists, but it's just very interesting. Like, I also didn't feel like this card is getting removed from any of the like OG destroy shells. Like, I feel like this was already still like a usual card in there. I wouldn't have been upset if they'd made like Sabretooth like a 2/3. That would have been pretty just interesting.
I don't like, again, that's, I don't know. Sabretooth is right there, and it's just like you're buff. Again, here's the thing. I mean, I get it. Wolverine's like, there was a big time where it was Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Hulk as the big 3 in Marvel. So I get why you want to give them love, but also like, I don't know. That's the card in the package you want to tune here.
Don't also forget about Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Hulk, and Ghost Rider were also part of the fan, or maybe it wasn't Ghost Rider. It was there was an iteration where they were part of the Fantastic Four. Which was really cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if we got some of their variants. I actually found that out recently. I think it may have been the Thing, Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider. No Hulk. Or Hulk was an alternate. Anywho.
I think She-Hulk has been there. I don't remember when Hulk has been in the Fantastic Four.
It was a weird Hulk. It was the one where he's wearing a suit. I don't
remember that.
suit, so. But anywho, we did also have some other very interesting changes where we do have Sam Wilson. Did get adjusted. His shield got adjusted, going from a 1 cost to a 0 cost, which I think is entirely warranted. Because they didn't like the value of like the Cold Obsidian coming out early and like the zoo stuff, whatever. I mean, I think that it was a smart choice.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? I think I didn't have issue with it really as a 1 cost.
Yeah.
However, I also understand why they made this change. It's, I mean, they just said straight up like this isn't a nerf. This is a bug fix, is what they're considering it, because they didn't intend for the shield to work this way. Which, cool. But like, cool. But why wasn't this done, you know, a month ago? My tinfoil hat's cutting off circulation in my brain, Tucker, but I don't know if they just wanted to line their pockets, but...
I mean, I would if I have an incredibly good season pass card like Agamotto, I probably won't be changing Agamotto until probably the next season because Agamotto is so good right now. But anywho, we're gonna go over to our next change, which I thought also was a pretty good change. You know, Bruce Banner went from a 25% chance of hulking out to a 33% chance of hulking out, which is better than Danger Room now. So
I like the part more so where he keeps the buffs that you give him. So my Misty Knight hitting him, I no longer feel sad about. It actually feels like it's going to be working, and I feel like I'm getting some value throughout the whole thing. Biggest thing that feels weird, unfortunately, is Shadow King apparently is like bugged with the base Hulk, right? So if you Shadow King Hulk, it puts it to a 1 power card.
Yep.
A little strange.
Which is, there's not as much Shadow King right now as
True.
there was a couple weeks ago or months ago. But this is going to be very interesting, but I like this change. I think this makes this card more viable, not necessarily like crazy mainstream meta, but I like this change. But we did have what I think is one of the craziest changes we've had in an OTA in a while, and that is Loki is a 1 cost now.
Yeah.
And he's back with a vengeance. We'll look at his win rate here in a second, but his play rate is absolutely way, way higher than before. I still don't think this Loki is as oppressive as some of the original Lokis, but it still is a feels bad losing to your own deck. Yeah.
I mean, what is it? So I don't like this change because of just I don't like old Loki. I don't enjoy Loki. I come back on, and I'm scared of this change. I said that when I first talked about this change, I'm like, I think it's I get why they're doing this, but I am scared of this style of change here because I don't want this to return. But also at the same time, like, now your opponent has to, if they want to play Loki on, I think it's actually one of the worst cards to play on turn 1 now, other than like Ebony Maw. But like, if you play this on turn 1, you don't know what you're playing against, and anything you're going to deal with is kind of bad.
Yes.
And if anything, this bit actually makes me think that Adam Warlock might be too good, and I'm kind of sad about that. Because Loki plus Adam is now a real combo, just that. And yeah, or it's just you run Gorgon Mobius and you just make your opponent cry. Gorgon Mobius Sandman, easy deck. Did you play that deck?
I haven't played it, but I've seen its popularity has really increased, and Miss Marvel's getting value. But I think you brought up a really good point with the Adam Warlock situation, because when Loki originally did get changed from the cards in your hand, he did also draw a card, and that was what really made Loki even more busted with this type of ability. So having the inclusion of Adam in here to be able to run through your opponent's deck even more and just have the opportunity to do that with the, you have them, the cards cost less, and maybe you're also playing Airstream, so you have extra energy too. Like, and God, with Agamotto, like with Agamotto as well, like you could play that hand in hand with Loki to be able to, get your Agamotto into your hand before you play Loki, or get some other extra value with images and stuff like that, or have bolts to be able to play more of your opponent's cards than they can. Like, it's brought up some very interesting lines. I'm very interested to see how this affects the meta kind of and stuff going forward. But I do think we all should be playing more Darkhawk anyways. But
Darkhawk is it's a deck that's come back. I'll just say, this is, if I'm not mistaken, by the way, this is the 10th iteration of Loki we've had so far.
10th? Oh, because that includes all the different cost/power adjustments that the cards have.
Yep. I will say we had there were some data mine ones, right, where he was like an on reveal swap hands to your opponent, and they had the meme thing where his ability technically said never going to let you down. But in all legitimate versions that have actually seemed like they're going to exist, he has gone from, it's funny looking through it. He's gone from 3-4 to 3-5 to 4-5 to 3-5 to 2-2 to 3-5 to 2-2 to 1-2 now.
Man, Loki literally has been on a roller coaster through the multiverse and through Marvel Snap. But
you should see the end of Loki season 2 if you really want to know even more.
Oh boy, yeah, and Loki's also an incredible show. Fun fact for you guys. But let's go ahead and actually look at like the stats for these cards.
We have one more card we haven't talked about actually.
Oh, we do have one more card we haven't talked about. Oh yeah, that's true. We do have another big card. I was trying to speed run dance if you would catch it. But we do have the big bad himself, which honestly, this change was really interesting. I think really solid for this card. Thanos went from a 6'10" to a 6'12", and the Space Stone went from a 1-1 to a 1-2.
This was, I think, one of the best changes they had done. Honestly, just straight up, like the fact that this now at least Thanos, you're playing him on rate now, and if you on the final turn, you have the question of like, okay, am I playing Thanos here? Am I going to put like a card that's not going to give me the 12 power at least? Like, it's, I don't know, the fact that this deck again just kind of gets even more value just around Thanos himself is such a good change to me.
Yes.
Space Stone being the one that they chose to give the extra point of power to is, I think it's interesting, but I also kind of do like it. I feel like it's if you're talking about all these stones here, which one's like the worst, honestly, I probably would be saying Space Stone, because nothing stops you from moving Thanos anyway.
That's true. And I think that's the main thing why they did Space Stone, is because like even the like lockdown meta that was happening, like we're not seeing that at all anymore. Like we're not seeing Goose unless you're dance playing Goose. Professor X, like the Storm Legion shenanigans, like that was another main reason why they had this adjusted at first, was to make Thanos a little bit more viable in that sense. And there was already lockdown Thanos before, like prior to that as well. So I'm very interested that Space Stone got changed. And like you look at like Reality Stone's a 1-1, you don't draw any cards, but it's the whole, location change
control
aspect.
Is so important. Yeah.
You have Time Stone's a 1-1, but you also give Thanos -1 power and you draw a card. Mind Stone, you draw 2 stones, which is good at a 1-1. And then Power Stone's a 1-3 ongoing, but you have the option to be able to make Thanos +10 power if you played all the stones.
Yeah, that's the big thing about Power Stone there, at least.
So like it makes sense that that time stone did get adjusted, or space stone, sorry, space stone
yeah.
did get adjusted the way it did, because it is a quote unquote like weaker stone opposed to like the abilities of like the other stones.
100%. No. In general, I think the Thanos one was actually one of my personal favorites. I just like the logic behind it. I liked why they did it. It just felt, I don't know. The whole thing made sense to me, and it made me, I was like, yeah, this is good. Good change.
Yeah. So looking now, since I skipped over all of it, looking at the actual stats for these cards over here when it comes to the OTA, if I can get my mouse to cooperate, because every time I change scenes, we go crazy here.
Oh no.
Okay.
Crazy out here.
But when we look at the OTA over here, this is how the cards are stacking up right now. I have it based off of win rate post OTA. We do have Sam Wilson with a 53% win rate, still doing pretty solid in almost 30% of games. Of course, this is with untapped tracker enabled on whenever you are playing on. Doom 2099.
I think it's a big thing you can always question
Yes.
about, but yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. Like, you, of course, because not everyone's using Untapped. Some people are just playing on their phone without Untapped. But, like, we're in the 50s for Doom 2099, Thanos, Loki. Wolverine still is a less than 50% win rate, which Destroy overall normally doesn't have a crazy win rate. Which
I will say, I think it's just due to the fact for Destroy, and I think it's actually something that you've talked about before. We talked about it last week, and just we mentioned in general. New cards make decks feel fun.
Yes.
And the Destroy deck, even in the Symbiote season, didn't get any love.
Yes.
And so I don't feel like there's been a reason to play a lot of Destroy things, because once, people like to play with new things. New toys are always more fun. So there hasn't been a reason to, not been a new card for that deck. And I don't even think it's that bad.
Yeah.
It's just like, why would I play that when I could play with my new toys?
And Destroy will be back in May. So that's when Destroy will actually start running a little
According
bit more.
to data mines.
According to data mines, which are totally, subject to change.
Subject to change. Yada, yada.
But,
asterisk.
Yeah. But looking at the rest of this, too, Hela's win rate is not great. Which I think...
He says, just real quick, as for audio listeners, I think he's understating slightly, as Hela is at a 45% win rate, which is, I think, that's some pretty bad. Bruce Banner's doing better than Hela right now.
Bruce Banner's doing better than Hela post Infinite. Let's just play devil's advocate here.
And, he's getting bounced. He's including bounce. Oh god, everything's stats are rigged.
Pre-Infinite.
Everything's gonna be higher.
Hela still is less than 50%.
And you know what? And bots are inflating that number, Tuck.
Yep, and they are. I agree. Bots are inflating that number less than 50%, and Hela's play rate is down to 5% pre-Infinite. So her play rate has been adjusted. And something I do want to note is we're looking at all these stats post-Infinite. Loki has a positive win rate and cube rate. But something I do want to address is last Yap, we were talking about Hela. And we were talking about either Adam Warlock or Thunderbolt Ross. Who would you rather have in your list? And it really is more of an Adam Warlock diff, it looks like here. If you look at these two lists here, okay? So one, of course, has 200 games more with Adam Warlock. And one of them has Thaddeus Ross. And you look at the win rates. Both are close to 53%, okay? But the Adam Warlock has an average cube rate of plus 0.33. And the Thaddeus Ross has an average cube rate of minus 0.37. And when you put these like side by side, they are pretty much the exact same list besides those two cards. And it's the value of Adam Warlock with some of these just discard enablers, and targeted discard is just incredible. Also because the power of these cards. Like the Swordmaster losing the point of power going to 3/6 is still, that's a point of power you lost, but you play that onto your Adam Warlock lane. Maybe Adam Warlock didn't get the didn't go off the first time you played him, so now he's a 2/1. And then you play your Swordmaster, so then now you have 7 power in that lane. Your opponent has to play into that Adam Warlock lane, or you're going to draw your entire deck to almost guarantee you can get Hela, either from draw or from a Blink/Jubilee situation. So, like, I think the Adam Warlock value is more substantial than the Thaddeus Ross, and that's something you were talking about next Yap, or last Yap, and I would say I do agree there, especially because you're running way less of these bigger cards in Hella now. There's, I feel like, less of a reason to play Thaddeus Ross than Adam Warlock.
I think one of the things that is different is, just to be a point against me here, is Black Cat going from 10 power.
Yes.
Makes Ross, I think, infinitely worse.
Yes.
Because now you've got 3 cards you're trying to draw, and that's it.
Yes.
And so being able to draw any of those with Adam is extremely beneficial. And I think that's a very large difference. Like you said, it's the actual power of these cards in combination with Adam Warlock is really good, because that is something you can just set up for extremely easily. You can do a lot of great stuff there. And again, with this change, I saw people being like, I've seen a reaction where it was just like, I bought Ross for Hella, and now Ross is bad for Hella, and people are upset by that. I mean, I get it. Yeah. That cards change though, and unfortunately that is what it is. That's something that they're very active and honest about, and it's a good thing for Marvel Snap because it keeps the game feeling fresh. But that change, I think, again, I'm pointing out the Black Cat one because they even said before, inside of the Hella information, they said that they were comfortable with Scar and to some extent Thaddeus Ross buffing Hella. They mentioned Thaddeus Ross, but they've nerfed the Thaddeus Ross interaction because of that, and now that's a 0.7 cube rate difference, which, let's be honest, is the only thing that actually matters, not the win rate. Your cube rate is what matters in Marvel Snap.
Yes.
So I just feel like there's a lot of minutia there, which is really fun to dive into. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think going off of a card we have in this deck, we do have Death in this list. If you guys are Hella enjoyers, this this next week probably will not be the best week for you to play Hella, because you'll be discarding Hella, I think, more often than not, because people will be destroying a lot of cards for Firehair. But also with the adjustments to Hella and how popular Hella was, when we look at just the overall meta for cards in general, this right here is based off of just popularity post-Infinite right now. We have
post-patch as well.
Yeah,
right?
Post-patch, post-Infinite. We have a 44% popularity for Iron Patriot, which is a season pass card from 2 seasons ago. And then we also have Shang-Chi at the highest. I think I have even seen Shang-Chi. I've seen him closer to 50%. But like, both of these cards are in a large majority of lists. And it's one because Iron Patriot is just incredibly flexible, and I think there's so many different cards you can play out in turn 3 to be able to enable you to just potentially win that lane. Even Starbrand can just be there just to, boom, give you an automatic win that lane for Iron Patriot. And then Shang-Chi is like, Starbrand was really popular. You're seeing a lot of Sauron. You're seeing a lot of Hella. There's that. Agamotto, season pass card. So you're trying to do your season pass missions. Also a good card. And then you have Sam Wilson, another just good season pass card. Galacta, another good season pass card. I think we're seeing a trend here.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, sure, there's a lot of very good season pass cards. And it's, I don't know. I think I said it like a month or so ago that I stand by the nerf I recommended back then for Iron Patriot, where the cost goes down by 3 and not 4. And I think that's still a very substantial buff, and I think he's good in that way. But also, it's led into, and actually, if you look right below, because of Agamotto and Iron Patriot, a Gorgon being a very big card, but in case it isn't obvious that Gorgon's big, Quinjet's right there next to it. So yeah, there's a lot of card generation, a lot of really fun stuff happening there. But Shang-Chi is a card that will exist. It's a card that I think fulfills its role extremely well in Marvel Snap. It's not a card that I particularly enjoy oftentimes. However, fun fact, if you actually go back to the top of that real quick, Tuck, and you make it, just go to the top 10% Infinite. Go to the real Infinite gamers here. I don't mean a real Infinite. I just mean like people who aren't trying to do Agatha Cheese and whatever, just to like bot farm or whatever. Shang-Chi's at over 50% win rate here, and not even mentioning Iron Patriot at 57. So, yes, here's the thing. I mean, the OTA, I think, is a very good OTA. I think they have good stuff here. I don't believe Shang-Chi's ever going to get changed. I want it to get changed. It never will. Iron Patriot, I do believe 100% should get changed at some point here. And I don't... It's funny I'm saying this with these large stats. I actually don't know if I'm sold on Sam Wilson getting a change.
No, if we just take a gander of like the Sam Wilson decks, like the Iron Patriot, like the downside of Iron Patriot is you don't
get a card.
You don't win your lane. That's the downside. You don't win that lane at the end of turn 3, but you have a new card. Like that's crazy. And then like looking at Sam Wilson's list right now, this is all post Infinite. It's just like another card on the board that you can use to get some Sam Wilson value and Iron Patriot value. Like, these are all top 10% of Infinite decks right here, which is a Spectrum ongoing list, which is really solid. Using Anti-Venom, which Anti-Venom's another card that I'm surprised also didn't get adjusted, like, you know, for weeks.
We'll talk about Firehair Combo in a bit, but there was a card in that deck, Tuck, that I said, yes, this is a card that's good for this deck, Tuck, but but Anti-Venom is just better.
Yes. We'll talk about that when we look at this. But these decks, I mean, this is high Infinite. You're just playing this, and another card I think that's really solid is Copycat. I still was like, you know what? Copycat should totally still steal the bottom text opponent's cards. I do think that is incredibly busted in a sense, so I'm kind of glad they removed it. But if they did bring it back, I would be upset. But
different card, I think. I don't think Copycat can do that. I think
it'd be something else.
It would have to be a different card. Which hey, guess what? I don't mind it. There's a lot of space to exist for cards to exist. Marvel Snap. Ones that are just going to be similar to others are fine by me.
But talking about like new cards and stuff, we do have the good old Firehair coming out today as well, which is...
And when you say old, you don't actually mean old in Marvel Snap. You actually mean old in terms of, again, this is the very first, the lore is this is the very first host of the Phoenix Force in 1 million BC Avengers or whatever. But this is coming out today.
Yes, we do have Firehair, which is a 2 cost, 3 power. When one of your cards is destroyed, this uses that card's on reveal ability.
And we've obviously talked about this. You've had your buy or bust, and you've mentioned, and there was a question. I feel like people were having like, okay, well, this isn't going to happen multiple times in the same turn. And to that I say, do you see a restriction in that text? Do you see it say once per turn? Oh, it doesn't? No, but you think it's still... No. This card is gonna be amazing. I cannot wait to play my... what was it? I've told you the busted combo, Tuck, okay? I've already told you about this. Turn 1, you know, you play your... turn 1, you're gonna be... turn 2, you play Firehair. Turn 3, you play Shauna. Turn 4, you Killmonger all of the Shauna cards, and you get a bunch of random on reveals. And that's just going to be the most insane combination there entirely. I see nothing wrong with... Why are you laughing?
You forgot you play Hood and then Shauna.
Sorry, you're right.
You play Hood and Killmonger.
Hood, sorry, it's Hood, Firehair. So you go Hood, Firehair, or no. Oh, Spider-Ham, Firehair, Shauna, Hood, Killmonger, and it's in step 5, Prophet. You're welcome. That's if there's a different deck that I will be talking about, it's a mistake. I just want to talk about those cards in combination. That specific combination of cards can be insane.
Like Firehair really just does open up the door to a bunch of either different hybrids or just the resurgence of Killmonger being just everywhere, all over again. And I think like a lot of people immediately go to Mill when they think of Firehair and stuff, which like I see why you guys would go to Mill, but like also at the same time, if you guys do go to Mill, it's literally just gonna be an Airshim week, and you're literally not gonna get any value out of that. Really,
Mill's a trap. Don't go there. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I've said it multiple times. I'll say it again. I think Mill's gonna be one of the worst places for Firehair. People are gonna try it because people have been talking about it, but it's gonna be the worst. If you want to talk about an actual good place for this card to exist, that's going to be more spicy, I think, and it's not even one that I'm talking about, and I think we're talking about here. It's the Hammer Bros. Hammer Bros Firehair is going to be insane.
Yep, I had someone actually comment that on the buyer bust, and I think you talked about it actually in our overview of the season. You're like, I think Hammer Bros with Misery, with Firehair is just another just great enabler you can do. Even you don't even like... I do want to preface and I think we talked about this too. I think Misery is a necessary card for Firehair, but you brought up a very good point when it pertains to Misery in Firehair list, but not as just the primary option.
Yeah, no, I think that's one thing that we're going to be seeing a lot of, and hopefully not. I'm hoping better for Marvel Snap gamers. I don't think Marvel Snap gamers are great at deck building, and I'm saying that as a Marvel Snap gamer. But I think it's going to be difficult to try to expand out that and try to do different things. And I think if you are only putting Misery in your deck, you're making a mistake. And I think what you want to do is you want to look at the on reveals you have, what you're going to have going on. And I think I've seen a lot of people just like, okay, I'll just put Killmonger in there because I'm going to be running Hood anyway. And yeah, sure. But again, depending, I feel like it's going to be such a different thing based off deck. And I think there are going to be some legit places where maybe you just throw a Carnage in there instead. Maybe I'm playing maybe I'm going to be throwing in a Venom because I got a really big card. I think there's a, is it like, we'll be talking, I think do you want to talk about your combo real quick, your deck here? We can actually talk about specific combos because I think your deck is a great one to highlight with a really good combination of cards here as you load it up. I think the best ones, and I think Tucker did a great job with this, is Venom inside of a deck like that is going to be great.
Yeah, and I think so. This is a really like kind of all over the place hybrid. It looks like you a whole lot on screen, but like I can break it down for you guys. So like Iron Patriot, good card. We looked at it already. You know, Iron Patriot just gives you value. Anyways, you also
only has 57% win rate in top 10 of Infinite. How can it be? How can that be a good card? Do you have any proof?
I have no proof. But this list right here. So like your main targets to destroy are going to be your Korg, your Hood, your Cassandra Nova, and then I'd say your Iron Patriot. Yes, that's only like 4 cards maybe that you want to prioritize destroying. But let me also add into the mix. You do have Anti-Venom. Okay, Anti-Venom sets the next card you draw to 0 cost and 0 power, which is also hidden from your opponent. They don't necessarily know what that next card is. Whether that is a Misery, maybe it is a 0 cost, 0 power Misery, which you can then play onto any lane that has an on reveal to be able to get Firehair to proc and get that on reveal to go off again, which is 2 different on reveals going off in that same sense. And those cards also being destroyed puts them into the Phoenix Force pile, which is in your destroy pile, which allows you to resummon those cards. So even if you also have a 0 cost, 0 power card that does get destroyed, when it comes back with Phoenix Force, it'll have 5 power. And that's just another line you can have there. You also have Juggernaut to be able to solidify some lanes. Even Juggernaut getting destroyed allows your Firehair to use a Juggernaut interaction as well to knock them off of the Firehair lane. And I think with Venom here too, originally I had Killmonger, originally I also had Rock Slide. But I think with Venom, you're also able to save the power that you had on the board with Venom because he consumes that power and then adds it to his base power. So you're not just leaving empty slots on the board, which is really nice. Also, if they do Shang-Chi your Venom, your Firehair then eats the cards on her lane because that is your card getting destroyed. So, like, yes, maybe you don't have the most interactions with the Darkhawk shell here just because you have Korg, but more often than not, your goal is not to have Korg just go off once a game. You're still probably going to pump at least 2 to 3 rocks into your opponent's deck, and even if you just Cassandra Nova into a Venom, then your Cassandra Nova is destroyed, goes into your Phoenix Force pile. You can then do Phoenix Force again with Cassandra Nova value. You have just a bunch of different ins and outs here, and I think the Darkhawk shell is going to be a very solid shell for this. I think you could incorporate Rock Slide, potentially if you're not seeing as much Agamotto, but I do think you're going to still be seeing Agamotto. You're still going to see people play Thanos, especially with Firehair. You're going to still see people play a lot of Arishem because people are going to be playing a lot of Mill. So you have Darkhawk to be able to have one of those outs as well. But I definitely think this is even potentially just a rough draft for this deck. I think this deck may even look different at the end of the week. It just really depends on hot location and your pocket meta.
Yeah, no, I think this is the best. I think this is gonna be one of the best places for this deck to exist. And again, I think what I said before is I love the Venom here. The Venom here feels it's so meaningful in combination. And I love the Juggernaut with just Iron Patriot, but Venom as well with the Juggernaut with the Cassandra Nova, go into the Firehair with the Phoenix Force. You've got like there's so many ins and outs. And again, you're correct that this doesn't have a lot of points into the Darkhawk package, but I don't think it's going to be difficult to get 3 triggers onto your Korg, which is going to be just Korg Rock Slide normal value anyway. And then rather than having to play a card that's just going to be kind of more of a waste, honestly, with your Rock Slide, you get your Hood value, get your Zabu value. Like this is going to be, what is it? I've got a list as well, but this is one of my favorite places where I think the deck's going to be good, and I think this is going to be. I'm just going to say I think you're going to win this week when we talk about everything coming back. This is just such a great pile of cards.
Which I don't want to, say anything outlandish here, but like Dance has made a really crazy deck, guys. And I think if you guys like playing some more of these out of the box kind of like ideas where you literally can surprise the heck out of your opponents and really steal cubes, I think looking no further than Not My Harry.
I forgot. I hate I'm so annoyed that Snap.fan makes you name your decks. I don't give a crap about this name. I'm so annoyed that I have to name all these decks. But anyway, yeah, Not My Hairy Hands. Greatest deck name in 2025. I actually really like this stuff. It feels like a really fun pile of cards. And again, I think the Phoenix Force is some tech that is really great to have here. In addition to one of the things, again, it's smaller, but I really enjoyed, was Mr. Sinister in combination with Firehair, because Firehair, if you're destroying your Koya, you're destroying your Festus, you're destroying your Gwenpool in order to get that trigger again. But then if you destroy your Mr. Sinister, then Firehair would make a Sinister clone at her location as well, which is even more power there. So it's not just going to be buffing up your other lanes. You can also use that to set up your stuff there. And so, I mean, I've liked the hand pump style of deck for a while, and it's been a blast. But so many great things here, and it's very simple combination, by the way. But Nico ×2 into Misery, and then even a Phoenix Force there.
Mm-hmm.
Nico ×2 into Phoenix Force on just that combination is, if I'm not mistaken, that's 18 power.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I remember doing Nico Phoenix Force stuff with Symbiote Spider-Man season, and then Zolaing the Nico, so I got 236 powered Nikos across the board.
No, I had a deck that it was just to Zola. You made a big Nico with your Symbiote Spider-Man, and then you just Zola it final turn because no one expects you to Zola that pile. Mm-hmm. It's not good, but it's fun. And this is one that, again, I am so stoked to play this. It looks like a lot of fun. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but I'm so excited, and it looks like a lot of fun, and it's exactly what I like to see.
Well, your opponent doesn't necessarily know just like what amount of power you're dropping on like final turn kind of thing. Like something you also have value with here is misering your Zabu to make it so your next 4 drops you draw are like potentially 1 cost 4 drops, which I think is a pretty good final turn play. Dropping a
Festus as well is really amazing.
Yeah, so like there's so many just different ways you can run around here. You have your Mysterios, which Mysterio is going to be the juiced up one, and like the Mr. Sinister stuff. Like I've seen a bunch of different just like rough drafts for Firehair herself, and I think that's what's really cool about this is because it copies any on reveal ability of a card that is destroyed, whether that's even a Broodling, like the Sinister value there too. There's Broodling stuff. Silver Surfer getting destroyed to have another Surfer go off. Like, of course you do have to have destroy enablers in order for Firehair to work. And I think Misery, of course, this is the perfect card for Firehair because it also gives you the value of making the honor reveals go off again that turn. So you have 2 iterations of that happening. But I do think a Venom is really solid, so you can still maintain that power on the board. Even Killmonger is good, so you can hit a wide variety of lanes. Even like we saw in the dev video, like a Carnage, you can hit multiple cards to get the Firehair interaction to go off. So it's going to be just really interesting to see what happens. I think Dance and I also talked about Thanos Destroy being also a really good home for this card as well because of most of the stones having an on-reveal ability. Power Stone's the only one that doesn't. And then the other 4 out of 6 stones, of course, minus Reality Stone, also enable you to draw cards, which also can help you thin out your deck. And let's say you're also playing Thanos Destroy with Angel, you're also getting that card onto the board, which honestly maybe sounds like copium, but like at the same time, the thinner your deck is, the more you're likely you're going to draw your null, your death, and you're destroying so many stones and everything too. And you're probably still playing a token iteration. So like you probably have Bucky in there as well to boost up for Mockingbird stuff. So like there's different ways you can really mess around, I think, with Thanos Destroy after he got the buff now too, just to be able to draw more cards. I think that's going to be a shell a lot of people try or should be trying with Firehair, opposed to just playing Mill, because Mill, yes, of course, you're going to be able to get your Gladiator to go off again potentially, but you don't Gladiator or Firehawk or Firehair. You also have Cable. Getting another draw is nice, thinning out your opponent's deck. It's just like Mill, of course, is going to work, but when it comes to Mill overall, which I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, Mill's cube equity is really bad. So unless you have the best, or you have 2 out of maybe 4 of the combo cards, you need a snap earlier in the game. Like you need to snap way before you start even thinking about milling. Like even if you don't play card turn 1, you need to snap because you have your Firehair combo. Because if not, you're only going to get 1 cube a game. And like that at the end of the day, you're winning games, but you're not climbing at all. So if you are going to do the mill stuff, I do really strongly suggest that you snap very early, because otherwise your opponent's going to leave just because, they have nothing else to play. And while Shang-Chi also is very popular right now, Red Guardian is going to be extremely popular as well. And Cosmo. Firehair's a 2/3, so Cosmo also will block the Firehair lane because it does the unreveal, so keep that in mind. And then Red Guardian, if you're playing Firehair by yourself, which you probably are to set up other lanes for your destroy cards, you would probably get potentially Red Guardian there, which is why I think something I would do, especially if you are running Misery, is have some of your on-reveal cards on your Firehair lane, just in case you also destroy your Misery. Because if you do destroy your Misery, then Firehair will also proc your on-reveal abilities on that lane and then make them go off again. So like it'll be a very interesting combo just to get everything going crazy. You're going to be seeing fireworks this week, guys, just with how many on-reveals.
Sorry.
Yes, you're going to see fireworks with all just the on-reveals and stuff going on, for sure.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good cards just straight up with Firehair, right? Like, and I will say, we said it before, I'll say it again, just if you don't have Misery, I mean, you just played a different destroy card, but I'm gonna be honest, it's gonna be worse. Misery is gonna be the card that, if people who skip the Misery are gonna be like, well, I don't have her, who do I sub? And it's gonna be a comment we're probably gonna get a couple of times, but it's just be like, destroy card, have fun. It's worse without it though. But you're welcome to try. But it's going to be interesting. I think, but no, there's so much possibility, I think, with Firehair in terms of messing with stuff. And I don't know if it's one of the ones that I think we see them do in the dev video, but one of the ones that I'm also kind of excited by potentially is that old, like the Series 1, Series 2 on reveal list with the Ironheart and your White Tiger and cards like that are just, they're just cheap, or they have very low power, but a lot of themselves, but they put out a very large amount in general. And I think Firehair Misery stuff there, like even as a final turn thing, because typically you would try to Odin that. But imagine if I'm playing throw an Ironheart down in a lane, and maybe I've set up even just 2 other cards in other lanes. Play Wong a turn, and then you can just go for your Firehair and then Misery. Like that's. There's a lot of power inside of these lists.
Yes.
And I think it's going to be, there's so much fun stuff to be messed with these. And I think, again, I'm going back to my favorite combination, legitimately, even though it's not what I'm doing. But what you've said is Cassandra Nova with Firehair on the board, and then you Venom it, and then you Phoenix Force it. It's just, and then let them Shang-Chi it, because then your Firehair does it again. And it's just, I don't know. This card's going to be absolutely a blast. I'm so stoked for this card, dude.
Yeah, I think there's so many just different routes to it where it's like, especially we keep saying, don't have Misery just as your primary destroy line, because if you don't get the Misery off, you don't get any of the Firehair value. And all these decks are very combo heavy. So that's why you also, like, when it comes to deck building, you want to have a different out opposed to just the hard set, just combo of what you're going to do kind of thing. Which is what allows Firehair to be able to just kind of profit in a lot of ways too, because it's any card that's destroyed. I keep reiterating.
Yeah.
So like even if you don't have the perfect line now, you can still get value from destroying said card and having Venom also to remove some board space. Or you can do some you could do some funny stuff. I know Wombat was talking to me where you goblin your opponent's side of the board.
I saw this.
And then you Lady Deathstrike the goblin, so then you get your opponent's Firehair onto your side of the board.
I will say, actually, legit though, Lady Deathstrike is a great counter to Firehair though as well. And also, if you're running Firehair, it might be kind of good as well, because if you've got cheap cards, then you can play that on a Firehair lane that they have, and destroy their Firehair, profit with your, like, yeah, there's insane stuff. Actually, I will say though, I think out of all of the cards we're gonna say are like, yeah, there's so many cool combos and stuff. Am I crazy for saying that Hood is gonna be just the best card with Firehair? I think that is just straight up the best card to use with Firehair.
Yeah, I mean, you looked at Misery. When you look at Misery, and like that was like the best card for Firehair there. I think the Hood value, and then I think the Hammer Bro value. I think those are two of like the most optimal cards for Firehair. Until we start seeing some other of these just like combo decks kind of things. I think just easy one and done. Easy one and done. So many different ways to destroy the card is Hood.
Yeah.
Yes. Or Nico Draw 2.
It's...
Nico Draw 2 is also really good. Just
I will say, by the way, just Nico with her Draw 2 mode kind of just works on anything there. And it's,
so...
and it does use the on reveal if it's a card that has an ongoing as well. Firehair does not gain the ongoing ability of that, just as a clarification. Because again, we're talking about those stones. If you destroy, let's say, for example, the Soul Stone, you do not, Thanos will now be able to be discarded. Firehair has not gained that the ongoing ability. No, Firehair, you've just drawn the additional card with her, and that's it. So just the specification there in case that was a legitimate issue that you're having, that is something that exists.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally... totally don't get the you don't get the ongoing. It's not like Mystique with Old Blob, because Old Blob had an ongoing ability and Mystique was able to copy it, or like the Electro stuff. Like it's very interesting.
They've ruined the card. Blob, his whole thing is that he can't move, and now you just made it so he's a joke. Sorry, what?
Yeah, freaking Blob is just cut for everything. But that's what we got going on for Firehair. Both these decks, of course, will be down in the description below, as well as Dance is links to all of his socials, as well as this man has been absolutely freaking killing it on the YouTube grind, my friends. If you guys have not checked out any of Dance's deck, guys, you really, really need to. Some high-quality content, thoroughly breaks down all of his plays, as well as the decks, as well as going to his Twitch channel, which also will be down in the description below, going and watching him live as he yaps as much as he does on here, maybe even a little bit more, or maybe a little bit less. Who knows? You guys will have to see for yourself to see how much Dance yaps on his Twitch channel, where he's playing Marvel Snap. He's also playing some Among Us. He's playing a bunch of these other just really cool Friday games, but of course, you guys love him for the Snapperonis, and that's why we love him for the Snapperonis. And you know what we don't necessarily love right now, though, is this thing that we like to call character mastery. Character mastery is something that I think is very interesting, and it is something a lot of us have been talking about. And I think I've seen Chase talk about it on Twitter. I've seen a bunch of other people talk about it on Twitter. And the overall feel, whether it is there's way too many card effects that I never get anything that I want anymore, or what are these stupid card effects that just look incredibly weird, I don't even think I'd ever want these on my cards, kind of thing. Like, it's a lot.
I'll say I think he chose one of the worst ones, I think, here, not gonna lie. Or not, say, I have one of the better ones here, actually. I don't mind the Frosted Glass. I think the Frosted Glass is actually kind of cool. But it is, what is it? Straight up, there's so much just junk, I don't know is the best way to put it. It's just like, there's so many finishes, so many flares that are just annoying to get. And actually, I got really annoyed with this recently with character mastery. And this isn't even me saying my actual points on this. I wanted to split Miss Marvel. I hadn't split her before, so I split her a few times. And I got and maybe it's a good thing actually about it. I don't know. It still annoyed me. But I got the gold prism finish on it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I realized I already had that unlocked because I didn't like the tone flare in the background. I was like, oh wait, I already had this thing. So I've now split this card a bunch of times and I didn't get anything I liked. And I'm basically just at the point where I'm like, okay, I'll just use what I had before, which I didn't need. I don't know. Character mastery is, what is it? There's definitely some good effects in that are really cool. However, the amount of bloatware, I think, is the simplest thing.
Bloatware.
Well, so sorry, I'm sorry. I used to do tech stuff. Bloatware is a thing that you would call, like, for
man.
example, when if you with your computer, it tells you, hey, you've got your Xbox Live Pass. Also, here's all the recommendation things that we're telling you to do, and here's all the programs that we give you. Did you want make sure your Windows Defender's working? I don't know, all that stuff. Tech, if you, I don't know, it's tech jokes that are probably not as funny, but anyway, it's just bloat. It's not needed. It's not helpful. And it's just like, yes, these are options that they're going to put in there. They would have been better if they weren't there. And I feel like if they had just removed so many of these options that you just didn't want, or even give you ways just to like opt out of certain things that you didn't want. And I'm not expecting them to give us opting out of everything, but like, let me opt out of bubbles. Let me opt out of the, oh God, where's some other really atrocious ones that I hate?
Do you like the copper metallic?
I actually do not mind copper metallic. I've had some that I really like with it, and I've had some that I really feel like are kind of more middling. Yeah, I've had 50/50s on it. Where, what is it? I got it on a Sam, on my Sam. And I'm now using my bronze borders. So, and it's stuff like this where it's like, this is cool, but like, it's also, one of the nice things I will say I do like about Character Mastery is that it's making me use variants that I didn't think I'd be using.
Yes, because they're variant specific. A lot of these splits, you're like, what the heck did I just get? This looks horrible. And then you're like, oh, wait, if I use this specific variant, even though I absolutely hate this variant, it actually makes me cope a little bit better. Which is really interesting, because it's like, you'll look at the mastery tract, and it goes all the way up to 30. You have to get 1,300 XP to be able to get the reaction set, which the Ghost Rider reaction set is actually really sick. I actually do.
This is the one I've been wanting to get most, and I'm literally just like one variant away from Ghost Rider, and I can't get a Ghost Rider variant in my shop. I'm so annoyed.
That's the other thing too, is like, when it comes to character mastery, you have to buy variants for these cards, or have gotten them for free, or gotten them from your mystery variants in order to hit level 30, just to be able to get the max reward. But then, at the same time, you're at the max reward, which of course apparently boosts your like split rates to get better split rates. But you also have so many different more options in the split pool that you can get to just get absolute trash. And I feel like I've had a bunch of cards at level 30, and if we even look at some of them, and I've just gotten trash. And it's just really interesting that your buffed split rates are supposed to give you like better splits, and then you just get absolute hogwash. And I believe I got one on Venom. Maybe I didn't get one on Venom recently. Then I was just like, what is actually, yeah, I got this. And I was like, oh, wow.
Well, it's because the purple is supposed to be cool there, but it's also like, it's not good.
No, it's not. And then I'm like, this, I'm like, okay, but like, what?
Yeah.
What?
I mean, I think that exact combination, I think on Mockingbird, that exact combination, and I've decided to cope for myself there, and I've put that together because I actually didn't mind it there. But again, there's a fair amount of that coping stuff, but it's just like, I don't get why this, like why is that the way they wanted to approach this, where it's like you have all of these options that are, in my opinion, just not good. Like, I don't get how that's what they look at and they're like, yeah, this is what we want to, like, this is the type of stuff. And I'll say it's annoying, this just side rant, that we can't, that flares are broken on like half the stuff.
Yes.
But like, there's some stuff I think is like really cool. Like, honestly, I haven't seen the embers enough. The only time I've seen the embers, by the way, is on I've gotten green embers more than anything else. I'm so annoyed at the embers.
The embers are so weird, and it doesn't even appear here.
Yeah. So that stuff is, again, but like there's so many of these that I feel like if they just removed the bloatware, which again I'm gonna go back to that phrasing from tech stuff and whatever, but like if you remove the bloat from these options, I feel like it's just, I feel like these would get so much better. Like, why do we have the bananas as a legit option in this game? Like, why are the bananas actually here? Yeah, doesn't make sense to me.
No, we don't. We do not need any of the bananas. I do like that frosted glass, though. Like you said earlier, is one of the earlier things you can get from your splits. Like, I do like that. Like, this actually looks decent. And I like refraction a lot as well. But for the most part, these are just not great. Like,
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. There's some of them that are just like the same as they were before, and it's just bad stuff. And I get. So, I mean, part of the stuff, right, is you have to have bad things for the good things to be good.
Yeah.
Correct. And that is correct, right? Like, there need to be bad options for the good stuff to actually look good.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that there's so many options that are so just mid and so bad. I wish they weren't there. And I kind of just wish, like, with this, like, you've got the confetti, you've got these bubbles, you got the snow, like all these things. I'm gonna talk about like Pokemon Pocket for a second.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the same generic effect that they put onto a lot of them, but they say, oh hey, you have let's go with I don't know, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider makes sense to have a fire effect.
Mm-hmm.
Why would we put snowflakes on him? So it's just like, I don't know. I wish there were some of these that you could just be like, no, I just straight up don't want to get this style of effect. I don't want to have those in general, because I honestly have some of the places where I've coped and I'm like, I like these things.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not great, I still like them. But like, there's plenty of these other specific ones, like I'm actually saying the steel metallic, I think is interesting. And it's not one that I'm saying is bad. Like, there's plenty of these that I think like they're cool. They're just like they're not crazy, and they're just like, oh, this is just a little bit extra, and I don't mind this. I feel like so much of that.
Yeah, I wish, like, is it weird? Like, I wish that, like, character mastery at, like, the very end too, like, you'd gotten all the way through, you get like a special variant, not just necessarily a reaction set. Maybe they give you an exclusive variant to get your card to level 30. Like, I think that would have been another just incentive.
I would have liked that a lot more. I will say, unfortunately, I get why not. The variants are probably the most expensive piece, or like one of the more expensive pieces that they have to continually commission all the art for. And honestly, reaction sets are probably cheaper. Does that mean I like it? No. Why does Uncle Ben have a reaction set, by the way?
Gosh, yeah, Uncle.
I will say, the only way to get an Uncle Ben to mastery level 30, and fun fact, the other two cards that released the same time as him, with who is it? It's, oh god, who are the two? It's Laufey and Gorgon. They don't.
No reaction set at all.
Yep. And the only way you can get there is by splitting the card. Oh, Gorgon? I feel like that's new. I don't feel like it had it originally. Anyway, maybe it does. Maybe it did. And whatever. But the only way you can get at least, let's say, the Uncle Ben or Gorgon reaction sets here, you need to split the card 87 times, Tucker. Sorry, let me just say that again. I would have to split one card, the base variant of a card, 87 times to get it to mastery level 15, the mastery level 30. And you're like, okay, God, that's insane. Why in the world would you ever think that you could do that? I don't know. Why would it be that? Why would you need, Tucker, if you, again, just to, with those cards that don't have variants, which I know how many credits this is. And that's assuming you get boosters. I'm not counting the boosters.
So you said 87 times?
87 times.
87 times. That is what, like 135-ish thousand credits?
Just under 132,675 credits. Not to mention, this should not have been called character mastery. And I've said that before, and I will say it again. That's the biggest thing where everyone's like, yes, okay, make it work for the... I wanted it to work the way I play a card. I play the card and it works.
Yeah.
Same way that it works for... Like, again, people point to rivals.
Yeah.
Proficiency. Honestly, if they called it proficiency, I feel like the kit would have been better here than mastery. Something like that, because it's just like, this is more options, more tools I have. But... it's not mastering the card. It's they've and I wish straight up they had just renamed it and not kept the mastery name. I feel like that would have been a great. I feel like that would have been a good thing for this. And it's a PR thing where they're like, okay, people want character mastery, we had to say no. But if we say we're bringing it back, then people are excited by it. I don't think they should have brought it back. I don't think they should have said the name. If they say something different, proficiency, whatever, I think it would have been a million times better. But there are so many different specific areas of the character mastery that I'm like, this is cool. This is interesting. Straight up, I love the fact that we have more options in these.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I get that there are going to have to be some bad options. But the amount of bad options, it feels like, in comparison to the good ones, and even when it's now said good, quote unquote, right? Like, before when we said like a good like effect, it was crackle. And then it was bad if it was green. But now it feels like we've got lime green, forest green, spruce green, what is it? I don't know, neon. Like we've 19 different shades of that green, and you've got all of those as well as your black one and your white one and your red or whatever, right? Like it's just, I really, honestly, do think this is such a cool system. I just think that I wish there was something in terms of focusing it. And I think that's where I'm at with it. I don't think they're going to do boosters. That would have been I also would have preferred if they had just done something where people were said like what? Like each boost, like a booster amount you can get. I think it'd be, I don't know how busted it is, but what if you could just turn, I'm not even going to say 1 for 1 because I think that's fair. And I'm going to say it's too generous then. From my perspective, I think it'd be fair. So then I'll say it's too generous, probably from second dinners. But why not just make it so that I can, rather than, like, I've got so many boosters on some cards. Let me spend 2 boosters to get a point of level, like a single XP. Right? Like, you have to spend your boosters to split a card. If you have it there, okay, you know what? I actually don't really want to split this card anymore. I'm happy with this split, but maybe I'd like to try to get that gold diamond.
Yeah.
I've got 1,000 boosters on my hood. I don't need it to do anything else. I'm not going to get more variants of it. And I think that's also a way to balance out these Series 1, Series 2 cards that aren't going to get these Spotlight variants, aren't going to get this stuff that's going to be worth more so. Like, Spotlight variants, aren't they worth more than the Season Pass variants or are they worth the same as Season Pass variants?
Yeah, they're worth the same as Season Pass variants, and I think less than Ultimates.
Yeah, less than Ultimates. Ultimates, I will say, as annoying as Ultimates are, it is, at least they're giving something for Ultimates to do.
Us not getting an avatar for an Ultimate still just shocks me.
I feel like they've said 19 times that they want to do that. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in their backline. I can't say it. But I straight up, I wish that they would just, either you make it, speaking of the avatars, let me have a use for the 1900 goddamn avatars that I don't want to use. Please. And that's coming from someone who actually only pretty much uses pixel avatars. I would like to have more uses for these avatars that I'm never going to touch.
What about titles?
Oh my God. You know this. I think you have like 3 or 4 you use. I don't use titles because I don't like them.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
Floods.
There's so much stuff with this that I think that I hope and pray, Tuck, this is version 1.
Yes, I feel like I like, we have card acquisition changes in the woodworks. We got to have character mastery stuff in the woodworks too. We got to have some more rewarding feelings in the game, and splits felt really rewarding, whether if it was inked Kirby, gold Kirby, like it felt rewarding, and we do not have that feeling, I feel like, of satisfaction from splitting cards anymore with the new effects because of just how bloated, like you said, the pool of options are. Yes, when we do hit a good split, it's a real feels good. But it really is like the odds of that happening right now are almost abysmal. And like it just does not seem like that's ever like possible. So if they do find a way to genuinely change this, I think that would absolutely be fantastic, just to bring another feels good. Like, I don't feel like the game's at a place right now where I'm in a feels bad moment at all. Like, I'm not thinking that at all whatsoever. No. But I do think like this is just another element of what makes Marvel Snap so special, is because you have all this art from the different Marvel comics. You have all these different ways to kind of express these cards, have certain flares and opportunities to make these cards kind of pop. But right now, it is not feeling like you're really able to express yourself maybe the way you want to. and we are getting pumped with a bunch of borders like you were talking about earlier that we're just not going to use, right?
What do you mean? You're not going to buy the super premium season pass to get, let me just check, 3 right? It's not even exclusive one, right? It's not even exclusive stuff. No, it's 3 green cosmic borders. You're not doing that, Tuck, really?
Not for my Moon Knight that I got or my Black Panther variant. Maybe even not even my Agamotto that I'm going to be running as well. No, I am not getting any of those for that.
I think you also said something else that I'll pull back to is just we liked it. One of the nice things about Marvel Snap, I think you said, is making each of these splits feel like your own. And I don't know. It's like, I think that's one of the cooler things about this game, where that when you're chasing a split, you're chasing something cool, so then you could be like, hey, you've got a matching split on my guy, because you've it's your split. It's something you have.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel as exciting. It doesn't feel as rewarding when your splits that you have are just worse and or just the same as other people's at that point. It just feels different. It doesn't feel, I don't feel like when I look at that, I'm like, I don't feel like I've gained anything. I don't feel like I'm happy with what has occurred there. And I'm looking at that like, this is what I'm getting here, and it's worse. I mean, it's so much so that you said also it's like, it feels harder to hit your stuff. It's so much of a thing that they know that these god splits, quote unquote, right, with just gold/ink with Crackle are a thing, that they even introduced they actually increased the odds of god splits with this. Because god splits are now technically a 10% chance to occur always, when technically before, even though it wasn't actually 1%, for a bit we assumed it was 10% to get gold, 10% to get ink, and then 10% to get 10% to get this to get the Crackle effect, which meant, if I'm not mistaken, you had a 2% chance to get a god split. And it's just straight up 10% now, which is a lot better. Is it good though?
It feels like the other 90% of the other stuff you can get is just overwhelming the other 10% more often than not. And I mean, granted, we stay in a lot of these Marvel Snap games for a 10% opportunity or chance to be able to win the game. But it
What do you
feels
mean?
like
There's no way Erishim has drawn their Shang-Chi, because they're running Erishim, Agamotto, Thanos, Tuck. They have like 50 cards in their deck. There's no way.
yes, silly me. I should never have stayed in that game. You know, they always have it, and I just get absolutely cooked.
God, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm saying all this from straight up. I actually have enjoyed this a lot of the other effects that have been given from this. I've had some stuff, like, honestly, my Shang-Chi, Tuck, and it's the one that makes me most hate and love. I've talked about this. This new feature is, it is a, what is it? I've got the gold diamond flare on it, right? This level 30, the highest thing. And then in addition to that gold diamond flare, I got the bananas in the background. I've got the banana background. And it's just like, it's the one that kind of makes you feel like so close yet so far. So that, yes, I do love the split. I think it's cool. But also, like, you're telling me that the bananas are something that we need to be having in every single one of them. Tell me I can't. You're telling me I have to have. Oh my god! Like, look at the stuff's so cool. There's so many awesome splits here, and I love that fact. I think it's awesome and interesting, and there's so much potential. It's just like, I'm going back to bloatware. I just feel like let me trim the fat. That's all I'm asking. Even I'm fine with you leaving the fat.
Yes.
Give me either, like, what is it? One of the things I said is, like, when it first got launched, I'm like, I want multiple custom cards, honestly, because I have multiple options. I wish that they added multiple custom cards inside of this mastery track. I also now am at a place where I'm like, maybe when we get to that level 10, we get to that level 20, like, give me, for each of them, let's just say, let me just say no to a flare. Let me say no to a finish. That's it.
Like,
just, like,
veto it from being in your pool. That'd be interesting.
Yep. Just straight up say no. I don't, like, and again, that's not even crazy, but at least it could just mean that after I've got a character level 10, I can be like, cool, I'm not getting bananas anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know how crazy these asks are. I don't know how insane this stuff is, but I just feel like the more I look at this, the more I'm like, there are some really cool splits. There are some splits that I might even be coping and saying they're cool. But I love the fact that I can have them and they feel like mine still. Just I know we're gonna have bad options. You have to have bad for the good options to look good.
Yes.
But just let me say no to some of the options, not everything. Because I think if you say no to everything, it's just splits lose value. But just a few. I'm good. I don't want bananas anymore. No. Thank you. Confetti, which by the way actually is a sleeper, I think, for the worst one.
No, confetti.
Straight up,
Confetti is so bad. I think so bad.
As much as I will crap completely on bananas, I think confetti is a sleeper for the worst.
No, confetti is literally, it's a slap in your face. Oh, this sucks. Oh, this sucks.
And then it's just kind of sitting there. It's just like,
yep.
But then you have this cool stuff with this cosmic bro. This is awesome.
But it just doesn't beat inked and curvy crackle. That's just the.
This is what part of stuff that I actually love about it. I disagree. I think the cosmic actually potentially on some variants, I think it hits better. But because it also because of the rarity of it, I don't know. It's
just another thing too. It's like, well, I hit this split. How actually rare is this combo? Like, there's no just like grasp of like, okay, well, I just got cosmic. Is this a rare split? Is this a normal split? Like, what exactly
it is in there for what it's worth, but it's really hidden. You have to. It's actually on this screen. You can see here, or you can see Tuck, but there's a little question mark in the left side, at least on desktop, that next to the words finish and flare, which give you the full breakdown of everything, which I will say, the fact that they did do this is great choice. Did you know this existed?
I did not know this existed.
Yeah. You might swap scenes if you want to show the whole thing, but they have a full thing that explains how all of this stuff works, which it's still a lot of details and a lot of stuff that you have to understand and go through. But the fact that they're willing to explain it all now in comparison to that previously hidden information it is nice that we have this information that we can just straight up see from the game. Like, you hit a little question mark and it just gives you the full details on this.
Well, cosmic is an ultimate finish, but a super rare flare.
There you go. I don't know. It tells you all these things. It also tells you, right? Because again, the more you put into mastery, the more it will increase that level. If you didn't see a full breakdown, by the way, we did have actually guest on when mastery was being added, and he was able to help us break down that whole every single bit of this stuff and just help, which I honestly really enjoyed. That was a really fun episode just to be able to break down everything. But like,
and bananas is super rare. Both iterations of bananas. Same in rainbow confetti.
Make it ultimate. No, that's how they fix character mastery, Tuck. They put bananas as an ultimate flare.
Why do they have tone flares as super rares too? Oh, that's so funny.
Well, it's only certain tone rares. Or
yes, but
certain tones.
Tone flares shouldn't even be in any.
I do 100% agree.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. There's a lot of. Let us know down below in the comments let us know, first of all, I will say just your thoughts on mastery. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Do you think we're just wrong? Do you think any of these splits that we're maybe saying look good are actually just straight up trash? And what should these, I'm going to say, new effects do you really like, or do you kind of hate? Like, give us that stuff. Let us know these details, because I mean, there's so much stuff to break down here, Tuck. I mean, we're just talking about a lot of our own personal feelings on this It's just because there's so many different things you can be saying here.
Yeah, no, there's like so many different layers to this entire just like new feature, which isn't as new anymore. Like, it's been out for like over a month, but like it just feels like it still hasn't been like really honed in, and it kind of still feels rushed. It feels like they just kind of threw this out like as quick as possible in this sense where it's like, well, we're not getting any of these to be really visible on screen right now because, you know, there's the bug in like custom cards, which like a lot of you want this year, your custom card to have the special split. And then also in the sense of like maybe it's just us as a community, it's rushed that we don't really have a general understanding on how to really think about this together. Or it's like, yes, the split rates have been changed, but they don't feel good, like a good change. Like it's a cool feature, but like at the same time it doesn't feel like a good feature kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a little bit hard on it, but it's just like I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I will say I'm being really hard on it, but I think I'm more in favor of it than you are, which again is part of the stuff I do enjoy about us yapping here because I fully understand where you're coming from there because yeah, but I don't know. There's so much detail. There's a lot of interesting stuff, and I will say one of the things that I straight up do like about this feature, just as something to say maybe as I don't know, just so we don't end on something we're hating, but like I love the fact that that they've kind of increased the art is subjective argument.
Yes.
So that yes, even though this split may not be the best split to everyone, but I mean, I think I've even shown it to you. I've got a cosmic background, cosmic flare Sandman that I'm kind of like, I love this. I think it looks great. And I've been told by so many people like, this does not look good. I'm like, I don't care. I love it. And I think I honestly think that's really cool. And I like that a lot. So I love the fact we can try to understand these new splits, try to understand these new effects, and be like, do we actually like this here? Is this actually like, are we gonna say this is good, or is this like, or is this just straight up garbage? And coming to a place where we disagree, and then being like, yeah, okay, or we straight up get, I don't know, you just get a gray split anyway. I got, what is it? I think I showed it to you, right? I had an ink with purple crackle on my ultimate ebony maw. I actually bought the ultimate ebony maw just because of that one, and I was like, all right, fair enough. Like, I guess I kind of need this one here. And it's, yeah, I like that a lot. So there's just, I'm, in general, I get that there's a lot to dislike and there's a lot I dislike. But I honestly am coming out on the other side being like, happy that they have this. But I also have to be like, this has to be version 1 though, right? Like there's going to be a second version. I'm coping maybe. That's going to say like, you get to eliminate a couple options because again they've shown that you like to opt out of things, emotes, then opting in, emotes. But I'm hopeful that this is going to be an even better future as time goes onwards. And I don't know, maybe that's the same type of hope that lets me think that they're just going to delete Erisham from the game because they'll also delete bananas.
Yeah, just let us know down below what your guys' thoughts are on character mastery and what you guys are thinking about doing for Firehair. This will be going live, of course, before Firehair is released, but same day. So let us know if you guys have any special cooks you guys got planned up for her, or even for Cassandra Nova. Cassandra Nova is going to be in spotlights. Same with Nico. It's a really,
one of the best
really
weeks. We
good
talked
week.
about that. Yeah. What is it? And if you want to be able to see a lot of that content, Tucker will be live. Dave, I won't be, but Tucker will be live today. Today, playing Firehair, breaking down a lot of fun stuff, doing a lot of really cool things with her. I'm excited for that. So if you're not already following him, make sure you're going over to twitch.tv/TUCCRR. Absolutely a great guy. The RR is for when he was in his pirate phase, which he's unfortunately phased out of. It wasn't just a phase, Mom. It was the real him. Right now it's I think you're more in your your weeb phase, I think, because you got like your anime flag in the background.
Oh, it's a pirate flag.
Oh my god, it is a pirate flag. I thought it was an anime flag.
It's an anime pirate flag. One Piece is a pirate anime.
Oh, he's still holding on to his pirate face. But while you're over there on his Twitch, he's got a bunch of other places where you can be checking him out as well. Check him out over, obviously, on his Twitter, over on his TikTok, and also here, straight up on this channel. Drop that sub. Make sure you drop drop a comment. And he's got a lot of other great things. Every single week, he breaks down the new card that's gonna be coming out and talks about all a bunch of different good decks that are potentially going to be able to be used with it, as well as the strengths of it, the weaknesses of it. Like the spotlight, he breaks down each and every single spotlight cache in a way that I feel like I don't see anyone else doing in videos, and I think he is particularly unrivaled in it, and I really appreciate that what he does there. So if you aren't, please make sure you're following him, sub to him. I don't know, is there a different way that you say that you're want to see what someone else is doing on platforms other than following and subbing? Is that it?
Yeah,
everything there?
the other thing you have to do is you have to make sure you follow Dance on all of his platforms.
You already did this
beforehand.
one. You already did this one. You did this. Yeah.
But
You said it
before you
earlier in the
have
video.
you have to do all that before
Thank
you
you so
can
much for
even
hanging
press
out
any
today.
of the
We've really
buttons.
enjoyed this. It was a lot of really fun subjects to talk. No, I'm not letting you do it again. A lot of really fun subjects. And we're excited for this week of Marvel Snap. Firehair is going to be a really fun card.
Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. Make sure you tell Dance it's beautiful. Until next time, it's been real, and laters.